is going to be none other than number 12 Tennessee traveling to Tuscaloosa to take on the number 6 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Another ranked matchup for Alabama. They have been busy these last few weeks, right? We just saw them play against Missouri last week. We just saw them play against Vanderbilt a couple of weeks ago. And then I believe it wasn't like right away. I think about a month ago, we saw Alabama play against Georgia. So you're talking about Alabama, who has bounced back extremely well from the Florida State loss, which looks more confusing by the day. We now see the bounce back for Alabama. And now, Ty Simpson in particular, man, has it rolling, right? He has done a tremendous job in terms of running the offense. Now that it's a situation where he's able to have a little bit more time. Ty Simpson having a wonderful year, over 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns as well. And it also helps that you have your running back in Jam Miller. You got Miller back in the swing of things, right? Solid game for Jam Miller, 20 carries, 85 yards. You know, Jam Miller's been hurt for a lot of the year. He now has his backfield mate back, which is extremely invaluable, especially when you get into the second half of the year. Not to mention Jeremy Bernard, he has really stepped up. Now a dynamic weapon next to Ryan Williams. We know how Ryan Williams is as well. It's a fun offense to watch, man, and they have really improved tremendously over the course of the year. At least on the offensive side of the ball. Defense has had its moments. We talked about Alabama quite a bit in a different preview, like just compare Alabama to LSU's defense. But defense is like a bend but don't break. And they've done pretty good work defensively. You know, they will give up a bunch of yards, but they find a way to get those core stops when they need to. Ever since the Florida State game, they haven't allowed more than 25 points ever since. So kudos to that defense in continuing to improve. And while it's not the lockdown defenses like during the prime of Nick Saban's coaching career at Alabama, there's still some really good defensive work being done, at least from a coaching standpoint. Now, that being said, Alabama, we just talked about how great their offense is. They're not going to even be on the best offense on the field that Saturday in Tuscaloosa because Tennessee, at least from a statistical standpoint, the most dangerous offense in America. They're averaging over 50 points per game. Now, couple of questions here, right? I guess not a couple of questions, but really, do we see the defense step up at any point? Because while we talked about how Tennessee has the best offense in America from a statistical standpoint, averaging 51 points per game, they're also outside of the top 100 in terms of points allowed. They've averaged like 29 points per game defensively. Doesn't sound terrible, but when you're in the bottom 30, basically your defense is not able to get key stops too terribly often. So, really for Tennessee, are they going to be able to have their fastball? And even if they do have their fastball, is that defense going to do enough to slow down this Alabama offense with Ty Simpson and Jam Miller and Jeremy Bernard and Ryan Williams on the outside? Because I think Alabama's offense is even more dangerous than Georgia's. And they couldn't stop a nosebleed against Georgia. They allowed 44 in an overtime loss. Right? So, and they've had close calls too. You know, they had close calls against Arkansas. They had close calls against Mississippi State as well. Another overtime game for Tennessee. Now, a big reason why that offense is so good, though, Joey Aguilar, he has fit in so incredibly well. It has been a tremendous add in the transfer portal. So again, Joey Aguilar in that offense, going to have a big day because you don't know how much you're going to be able to really rely on stopping this Alabama offense on the other end. We saw it in the Georgia game. We saw it in any other SEC game that Tennessee has played in, frankly, between Mississippi State and Arkansas. So I wonder that if Tennessee's going to be able to have their fastball, I feel like they're going to need it. Even if they have the fastball, can the defense do enough? You don't have to be a lockdown defense. I'm not asking you to be 85 Bears. I'm just asking you to be competent. Can you be competent on Saturday? If you can be competent on Saturday, they have their fastball. I like their chances. But I got concerns for Tennessee, though, on that defensive side of the ball. Other factors to definitely keep an eye on is, can Tennessee win time of possession? I think winning the time of possession, having those methodical drives, I think that could help in terms of making sure that you keep that scoreboard continue to be light up, on top of giving your defense enough breaks so that you're not getting in compromising positions. Whereas for Alabama, can your pass rush get home enough to bother Joey Aguilar, or create enough pressure in a sense to where you speed up the decision making for Joey Aguilar, create some turnovers from that sense? That, I think that's really important. So I think for Alabama, I think everyone wants to start fast, but I think in this particular game, I think that's extremely important. You don't want to fall behind and try to play catch up with Tennessee. That is a recipe for disaster. Alabama, you do not want to be in those situations. But on the opposite end, if your defense can force some uncomfortable third and long situations to where, hey, the play calling is a little bit more predictable, I think that would be a huge recipe for success in terms of slowing down this Tennessee offensive attack. So, all of that in mind, let's pull up the model. What do we have going on in the model right now? So, Alabama is actually favored by more than a touchdown right now on FanDuel. It's an 8.5-point favorite as of me recording this on a Tuesday night. Now, at the same time, though, our model actually is higher than FanDuel. Alabama is favored by close to 2 touchdowns, 13.5-point favorite according to the internal metrics here at College Football Redzone. At the end of the day, I look at these two teams. I just feel like Alabama is a more complete team that can win in a multitude of ways, in a multitude of methods. While Tennessee, I really feel there's really only one type of way for them to win, the way of the shootout. And even if it is a shootout, it's not fully guaranteed that Tennessee can win the game, because the Georgia game is the Georgia matchup earlier in the year. That's a perfect example of that. So I look at this game, I just see more paths for Alabama to be able to pull this win off, especially with it being at home. While you're looking at Tennessee, the path is more defined. There is one path. There is not like multiple ways for it to split off and still see Tennessee win at the end of the day. I just don't think that's it. Now, I do want to caution that one big hesitation in terms of why I don't think that this is going to be a blowout win or a convincing win for Alabama. You're talking about Alabama having to get up for third consecutive game. They had to get up for Vanderbilt. They had to get up for Missouri. Can they get up fully for Tennessee? I know it's going to be third Saturday in October. Emotional matchup, but Alabama has played emotionally draining games against Vanderbilt, against Missouri. Games in which did hang in the balance for most of the ball game. So that is my big hesitation there. And it is possible that Alabama can't fully get up, even though this is a rivalry game. So I do want to caution from that perspective, but I still feel more comfortable with picking Alabama at this time than Tennessee. With it being the third Saturday in October, though, I do think it's going to be closer than what my model says. I don't think it's going to be a case where we see the Crimson Tide win by multiple possessions. I think it's going to be a much closer game. But I do think Alabama does enough to slow down the Tennessee offense. And it's a little bit more of a high-scoring affair, but I'm going to go with 35-28 type of deal. I think that Alabama will do enough to slow down Tennessee, while Alabama will be able to put up points on their own. I don't think it's going to be a game where we'll see either team in the 40s like the Tennessee-Georgia game. I think Alabama wins, but I will go with Tennessee covering. Primarily because of the fact that Alabama's going to have to get up for another game. That does matter.